guys, and welcome to the first episode of Whisky and Sports. Today we're going to talk about Frank Lampard, a new Chelsea manager, Paul Pogba wanting to leave Man Utd, and the Super 8 lineup for the GAA games. So guys, official this week, announced Frank Lampard, the new manager of Chelsea Football Club. So apparently this is a 3-year deal where Chelsea have agreed a fee with Derby to allow Frank to come across to be their manager. Now, the question is, was Frank their first choice? Indeed, is this the right time for Frank to take the Chelsea job? My opinion is that the transfer ban has a lot to do with this. I am firmly of the opinion that if Chelsea didn't have this transfer ban, then Frank Lampard wouldn't be the manager. I think that Chelsea struggled to find a more experienced manager to take over the role at this time with this transfer ban in place. Now they can spin it that they're bringing a legend back to the club, a man that bleeds Chelsea, a backroom staff that is also Chelsea legends and has a lot of experience of Chelsea. If reports are to be believed that Didier Drogba is coming back. However, I think this is a mask to really what's going on. What are Chelsea's expectations for next year? Are they going to finish top 4? How do they replace Eden Hazard? Is this why Sarri left? Like, he's seen no future. They've sold Eden Hazard. I know they've signed Pulisic, but he's unproven in the Premier League. I know they have 40 odd players out on loan at the minute, but that's the point. They're out on loan. If they were any good, surely they would be playing for Chelsea right now. Is this the right time for Frank? Well, I think Frank's been incredibly lucky, if I'm honest. The stars have aligned really for him to take this position at this time. He was probably the only candidate that was willing to go in there under these conditions. Now, will it work? Who knows? Who knows what will work? Who knows what won't work? He has every opportunity to make this work. Like, let's not forget, he did a good job at Derby with relatively all young players. Now, I know some of those were on loan and they're all going back, but it's not to be taken away. He did make the playoffs. In fact, he made the final of the playoffs, overcoming a very good Leeds team. He just fell at the last hurdle. So he is clearly a talented manager, but is he talented enough at this point in his career to go in and fix the problems that are at Chelsea right now? How are they going to replace Eden Hazard? How are they going to replace a player that contributed to something like 46% of all their goals last season? Now, from watching Moneyball, there is a scene on that says that you can't replace Eden Hazard, but what you can do is you can replace what he gave the team. So I guess what's going to be the main task for Frank and his backroom staff is to find a player or players that can step up to the void that Eden Hazard has left. Maybe they're going to look at utilising Olivier Giroud more. Maybe they're going to look at scoring more goals from midfield. Who knows? But in my opinion, and I'm happy to be wrong here, I think right now Frank is probably the wrong appointment for Chelsea, and Chelsea's probably the wrong team for Frank this early in his career. But leave a comment down below, and if you agree or disagree, and I look forward to debating it further. So Paul Pogba wants to leave Man United. Now, Paul Pogba has officially himself come out and said, well, a few weeks ago, that he's looking for a new challenge, I think the words were. But this recent confirmation has come from his client, Mina Raiola, who, let's be honest, got Paul Pogba to come to Man United 3 years ago in the hope that he would build his reputation as the best midfielder in the Premiership before moving him off to Real Madrid. Now, some would say that mission has been successful. Paul Pogba was included in the team of the season last year. Wrongly, in my opinion. I think he definitely was not deserving of that. Paul Pogba, to me, did not create a legacy in the Premiership that he was the best midfielder throughout his 3-year role there. Now, it's undoubted that Paul Pogba has talent. On his day, he is probably one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, but he's inconsistent. You know, I was listening to TalkSport the other day, and I can't remember who said it, but they said that, you know, if Paul Pogba had said to Mourinho when he joined, he says, "Listen, I know I'm one of the best players on my day. I'm as good as anybody, if not the best, but I'm not on my day every day. And on those days, I don't want to be paid." Now, in the real world, that's never going to happen, but I think that's very close to what should have happened. You know, Paul Pogba was rarely always on his game. Thinking about it, over all the displays that he did for United, the really only one that pops to mind is the Derby game 2 seasons ago, where United beat City so as the title race went on a couple of weeks longer, and only then it was the second half that he was impressive in. It wasn't the full game. But going back to Paul Pogba wanting to leave Man United, I think that he's really, him and his agent have really messed up, because Man United has, for once, got some business acumen here. They have him tied down to a long-term deal with the option of another year, if I'm correct, which means that they don't have to sell. And yes, he can kick up a fuss and he can throw his toys out of the pram and he can do a Yaya Toure, say the club doesn't love him because they didn't buy me a birthday cake and all this, and that's fine. But the reality is, Man United do not have to sell Paul Pogba to anybody. There's under no obligation to. And in reality, who can afford Paul Pogba? You know, if rumours are to be believed, he's valued at somewhere between 120 and 150 million. Who has that amount of money to spend? Now, hence there's been a lot of rumours of money plus player days. But why would Man United want to accept players, reject players from other clubs? Now, I know Isco and Bale and Icardi, well, not Icardi, but Isco and Bale have been touted as possible swap players. But let's be honest, Bale is a fantastic player, but he's a 30-year-old injury-prone right winger who is on reportedly 600 grand a week. Like, why would United want him? He doesn't fit what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is trying to do. Isco, yes, Isco was probably a more realistic swap deal, but again, he's a reject from Real Madrid. Zinedine Zidane doesn't want him. So why would Man United want him? Why would Man United want reject players from other clubs? Man United should be picking the best players for their team that other teams are battling to take off Man United. Now, I have heard another rumour that, or a suggestion that Ajax are getting fed up with Ligt and Juventus haggling over the Ligt deal, and that Mina Raiola or Man United could make a deal with Mina Raiola saying, listen, we'll let Pogba go, but as part of that deal you have to take Ligt to United. Now, I would love to see Ligt at United. I think he's the perfect player for them. However, I think the same thing would happen in 3 years ago. Mina Raiola would be trying to line his pocket with another big money move to get Ligt to move to another team. Personally, I would sell Pogba right away for the right amount of money. I would not take any player swaps unless it was somebody that United wanted in the first place, or somebody that that fitted the type of player that United are looking for. So if you agree or disagree with anything that I've said about Paul Pogba, please leave it in the comments below, and I'll happy to pick up that chat with you. So over the weekend, the qualifiers have all been completed for the GAA, and we now know the lineup for the Super 8s. In Group 1 we have Kerry, Donegal, Mayo and Meath, and in Group 2 we have Dublin, Roscommon, Cork and Tyrone. Now, having looked at these qualifier games for Mayo, Meath, Cork and Tyrone, I was astonished at how big the gap is between some of the teams, like particularly Cork and Tyrone. Cork had something like 32 points, and scored 4 goals, and Tyrone won by 16-point margin, keeping their Cavan to less than 10 points. I think Cavan only scored 7 points in total. Where is Gaelic football going these days? When we're in the last round of the qualifiers to get into the Super 8s, we're still having cricket scores at this level. I think something really needs to be done to make the GAA Championship more entertaining, more competitive. Off the top of my head, you could look at a Champions League format. I know then you're looking at what do you do with the 4 provincial cups, but anything would be better than what we have at the minute. But returning our focus back to the Super 8s, you've got Donegal and Kerry against Mayo and Meath as the qualifiers, and Donegal and Kerry obviously as Ulster and Connacht champions. You're really looking at there, unless Mayo can cause an upset, you're really looking at Donegal and Kerry coming out of that group. I know Meath was ran close with Ligt, Clare, but yeah, I think and Mayo really have. I know they've done well to recover from being beaten by Roscommon, but they've really kind of struggled along that path to get there. So, and I think they have a lot of injury concerns at the minute as well. I think when you look at the team that Mayo put out, not against Galway, but against I forget who they played in the round before Galway. There was something like 12 or more players in that team that lost the All-Ireland final to Donegal in 2012. So there's like a lot of injury concerns I think in Mayo at the minute. So for me, Group 1, you're kind of looking at Donegal and Kerry to come out of there. Group 2, well, I think your first one is Dublin right off the bat. And then I think it's more of a fair fight between Roscommon, Tyrone and Cork. I guess Tyrone don't really have any great advantage here. They're away to Roscommon, they're in Croke Park to Cork, and then they play Dublin at home. So unless Dublin's feeling like the friendly that day, then I don't know, Tyrone's home advantage is kind of wasted. From looking at that, I think you're probably looking at, I'd say, Dublin and maybe Cork to come out of Group 2, which would make it very interesting lineups for the semi-finals and then into the finals. But yeah, just to recap, Super 8 fixtures are Group 1, Donegal, Kerry, Mayo and Meath, and Group 2, Roscommon, Dublin, Tyrone and Cork. Do you agree or disagree with my thoughts on the Super 8s? Leave your comments in the section below, and I'll be happy to read through them and to pick up the debate with you. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and also click the bell so you get notified of all our uploads. That's all for episode 1. Looking forward to you joining us for episode 2.